My Lord and my God, I firmly believe that you are here, that you see me, that you hear me. I adore you with profound reverence. I ask you for pardon for my sins and the grace to make this time of prayer fruitful. My Mother Immaculate, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me. As we approach the end of the liturgical year, the Gospel is turning more to your words, Jesus, about the final times. Today you describe the difficulties that your disciples should expect. You say, Jesus, they will arrest you and persecute you. They will hand you over to synagogues and prisons. You will be brought before kings and governors because of my name. This will give you an opportunity to testify. Positive thinking, isn't it? Seeing difficulties as opportunities. This will give you an opportunity to testify. And then you, Jesus, explain how we can trust you for our defense. Because you will give us, you say, words and wisdom that none of your opponents will be able to withstand or contradict. And your warning continues. You will be betrayed even by parents and brothers, by relatives and friends, and they will put some of you to death. You will be hated by all because of my name. Well, the description seems quite daunting, I have to say. But if before you, Jesus, had given us the key to our defense, that you will give us words of wisdom, now you offer us the key to our attack. By your endurance, you will gain your souls. Well, that's it. The secret of success in times of persecution and difficulties is endurance. The word used in Greek is hupomoné. Hupo meaning under, and ménō, remain or endure. Properly, remaining under a weight or under pressure. Endure the pressure. They say the best defense is a good offense. You, Jesus, however, are saying the opposite here. The best attack is a solid defense, enduring whatever comes. You see this in sports. I love cycling. One of my heroes is Miguel Indurain, and he was famous for this. Other riders would try to attack him when he was leading the race, and he would just keep up with the challenger, remaining behind his wheel, but not showing the slightest sign of fatigue. He was famous for his poker face, as if he was enjoying the landscape. That could dishearten anyone. Well, your teaching today, Jesus, is quite clear. Hard times are to come. It won't take us by surprise. They have happened since the beginning, and they will be there forever. And yet, you say to us, this will give you an opportunity to testify. Well, the opportunity is here. And all we are asked to do is endure. Keep calm and, like Miguel Indurain, look forward and smile at the landscape. Come what may, do never, ever give up. And this applies to our interior life when we struggle against the personal defects. Keep calm and carry on. And it applies to the situation of the world today. Don't panic, keep calm, and carry on. Precisely earlier this year, they found the wreck of the Endurance, Shackleton's ship. If you don't know the story, it makes a great reading. I recommend the book Endurance, Shackleton's Incredible Voyage by Alfred Lansing. So this Imperial Transantarctic expedition sailed from England in August 1914, and they left South Georgia, the last land before Antarctica, the 5th of December. And 2 days later, they entered pack ice. Even though it was summer there, in a few weeks they got trapped in the ice. This is January 1915. And for months they were waiting in the hope that summer would release the ship. Instead, the pack ice crushed the ship, and it sank in November, 15 months and 13 days after the beginning of the expedition. By then they were hunting seals and penguins to eat. So once Shackleton realized that crossing Antarctica wasn't going to happen, he redefined the mission. The mission then became to save all 28 members of the expedition and make it home safe and sound, even against the will of some of them, who at times wanted to give up and die. So the captain would continue with everyone. The account of mishaps is amazing. Storms, blizzards, attacks from leopard seals. Then they had to slide the lifeboats until they found running water. But these lifeboats were actually 23-foot whalers. After 7 full days of hard labor, only 7 miles traveled, Shackleton abandoned the effort and established Patience Camp to wait until the summer. So the name is quite fitting for us today as well, for endurance has a lot to do with patience. He tells that once when they were sleeping, the pack ice opened a crack under one of the tents and swallowed one man into the frozen water, wrapped in his sleeping bag. They managed to pull him out only seconds before the pack made a sickening thud and the ice slammed shut. Writes Shackleton in his diary.
We were now on a piece of flat ice about 200 feet long and 100 feet wide. There was no more sleep for any of us that night. The killers were blowing in the lanes around, and we waited for daylight and watched for signs of another crack in the ice.
Finally, they managed to put the boat on the water, dodging icebergs, and they endured 6 days sailing until they almost hit Elephant Island in the dark. It was 15th of April, 1916, putting their feet on land for the first time in almost 500 days. But it was just a rock, and they didn't give up. Now they had to move. From there, Shackleton and 5 others would try to sail to South Georgia, a journey of 1,300 kilometers, 800 miles. With that distance, a millimeter of course, and they would miss the island and die. And checking the position was a nightmare because the skies were always covered. And they were sailing through a storm that sank a large steamship farther north. 16 days later, the 6 men reached South Georgia. But they were on the other side of the island. Impossible to continue sailing with that boat. They didn't give up. They now had to hike 36 hours straight over 5,000-foot peaks that had never been crossed by man before. Shackleton and 2 others went for it. The adventure is amazing. Crossing the frozen mountains after a year and a half, eating seals and penguins, with no maps, in the darkness, the night threatening to freeze them to death. And in his diary, Shackleton writes,
When I look back at those days, I have no doubt that Providence guided us. I know that during that long and racking march of 36 hours over the unnamed mountains and glaciers of South Georgia, it seemed to me often that we were 4, not 3. I said nothing to my companions on the point, but afterwards Worsley said to me, "Boss, I had a curious feeling on the march that there was another person with us." Crean confessed to the same idea.
That is it. They felt the company of God with them. And when they reached the whaling station, the captain there couldn't believe they were alive. Of course. After 2 years and 22 days, the 28 men were finally saved. Shackleton never gave up on his mission to keep his men alive, to keep them wanting to live, to keep calm and carry on. In all the trials of life, this is the advice that you, Jesus, give to us today. With your endurance, you say, you will win your lives. All we have to do is to keep calm and carry on. Mary, my Mother Immaculate, help your children to never give up, to carry on, happen what may. For this is a long quest, and in the long run, we win. I give you thanks, my God, for the good resolutions, affections, and inspirations that you have communicated to me in this meditation. I ask you for help to put them into effect. My Mother Immaculate, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me.